In the peaceful town of Akiko, tucked between rolling green hills and fertile farmlands, life flowed like a calm river. The people of Akiko were known for their simplicity, unity, and deep respect for traditions passed down through generations. Farming was their pride, storytelling their pastime, and trust in nature their foundation. Every year, the rainy season came like a song. The skies would darken gently, the clouds would roll in with whispers, and the rain would fall in perfect rhythm. Watering crops, feeding streams, and bringing fish to the nearby river Njoba, for as long as anyone could remember, the rains had been predictable. Yes, the paths got muddy, and sometimes the river crept a little higher than usual, but never had it gone beyond its bounds. The elders of Akiko often said, "The river knows its place, just as we know ours." But change, as it often does, came silently. A young man named Chijioke, born and raised in Akiko, had just returned after studying environmental science at a university in the city. His mind had been shaped by books, data, and satellite images. While his heart belonged to Akiko, his eyes were trained to see what others might ignore. Shortly after his return, Chijioke began to notice signs, subtle, but alarming. The rains in nearby towns were heavier than normal. News reports from the city showed images of swollen rivers, flooded communities, and panicked evacuations. He checked online weather models and satellite imagery, and what he saw worried him deeply. River Njoba was rising, and the soil saturation around the region was higher than usual. Scientists were warning that smaller towns along riverbanks could face devastating floods. Chijioke wasted no time. He walked straight to the village square and requested a meeting with the council of elders. The town gathered under the shade of the old baobab tree as he explained. "The danger, we need to act now," he urged. "The signs are clear. We must prepare for a possible flood. We should clear blocked waterways, dig new drainage paths, raise our livestock shelters, store dry food and clean water, and move important belongings to higher ground." The elders exchanged glances. They respected Chijioke, but to them, his words sounded too modern, too fearful. Ponwonkwo, the most senior elder in Akiko, spoke with a calm but dismissive voice. "My son," he said, "I've lived 70 rainy seasons in this town. The river has never swallowed us. It rises, yes, but it never breaks. These your computer predictions and city science, they may work in Lagos or Abuja, but not here. Our ancestors knew this land better than any satellite." Many in the crowd nodded in agreement. Tradition was a strong rope in Akiko, one that rarely broke. But Chijioke's heart was not at peace. He knew what he saw was not ordinary. Determined not to sit idle, Chijioke approached the youth of Akiko, boys and girls, young farmers and artisans, students on holiday. He shared his fears again, this time not to persuade, but to invite. "You don't have to believe me," he said, "but if you love this town, let's prepare just in case." Some laughed, but others listened. Slowly, a group of about 20 youths agreed to help. They began working every afternoon clearing gutters, digging drainage trenches, strengthening riverbanks with sandbags, and raising the floors of animal shelters. Some villagers looked at them with curiosity, others with pity. Even so, Chijioke and his team kept going. They stored food in sealed containers, collected rainwater in large drums, bought basic medicine, and educated people on what to do if the flood came. They also mapped out the lowest points of Akiko and advised residents there to move temporarily. 2 weeks later, the sky turned dark and stayed that way. Thick clouds hovered like a warning bell that wouldn't stop ringing. The rain started quietly, then grew stronger. By the second day, it felt like the sky had opened its entire belly. For 3 days and 3 nights, the rain beat Akiko without rest. On the 4th day, the unthinkable happened. River Njoba roared like an angry lion. It overflowed with such force that the river banks cracked and water spilled violently into the town. Water flowed through the newly dug channels, sparing their homes. Their food and water remained safe and dry. They had lanterns, ropes, first aid kits, and even life jackets made from jerrycans. Calmly and swiftly, they turned their area into a rescue center, welcoming people whose homes had been flooded. Chijioke's team helped guide elders to safety, rescued goats and chickens from drowning, and gave shelter to families. They distributed food and water and offered comfort in a time of fear. When the rain finally stopped and the water began to recede, Akiko was scarred, but not destroyed. In fact, thanks to the preparation of a few, the town avoided what could have been a major disaster. Days later, the entire community gathered in the town square again. The mood was different this time, quiet, respectful, grateful. Pononko stepped forward, his cane trembling in his hand. He looked at Chijioke with misty eyes. "My son," he said, holding Chijioke's hand tightly, "I was wrong. We all were. You warned us, and you acted. Your wisdom saved this town from disaster. You have reminded us that tradition is powerful, but wisdom, new or old, is a gift we must not ignore." From that day forward, Akiko changed. The town formed a community safety team, built a weather information board, and began listening to both tradition and science. Elders and youth worked hand in hand. The river, though still loved and respected, was no longer taken for granted. And as for Chijioke, he was no longer just the boy from the city. He became a trusted voice, a bridge between the wisdom of the past and the knowledge of the present. Mora, being warned in advance gives you the power to act before danger arrives. Whether the warning comes from tradition or modern knowledge, ignoring it may cost you dearly. But listening and preparing can save not just your life, but the lives of others. To be forewarned is truly to be forearmed.